Revenge films.
My name is Melissa. I was born in a very small town. I know a lot of people call their towns small towns, but this small town that I lived in really was a small town in the middle of nowhere. The only place that I could play when we were little were the rivers and the mountains. Unlike the cities, there were no karaoke places, bowling lanes, or places to hang out. You could easily sum it up to one simple word of boring. And maybe that's why my little sister Karen had a really bad habit of repeatedly messing around with the guys around town. My little sister was almost 10 years younger than me, and even as her big sister, I could admit that she had a beautiful face. And this little sister of mine would always have multiple boyfriends at all times. Of course, it was a very small town, so rumors spread quickly about the people who didn't speak well of her. For me, to have a little sister that's gotten around town with the guys was extremely painful and embarrassing. And for the record, my parents had my little sister a lot later in life, so they adored this big daughter and completely spoiled her. All I could do was get away from the small town where my little sister was, so I studied really hard and I got all my certifications to get a job. I went to multiple dates and I was finally able to meet a man who lived in the city. I quickly got married to him and I succeeded in getting out of a small town. Now I live in an apartment building in the middle of the city and I'm so happy. However, those peaceful days were about to explode and be destroyed. That's because one day, out of nowhere, my little sister came rolling into the apartment that I was living in with my husband, John. Of course I was completely against it and furious. Why are you here? If you want to live in the city, then you should go find your own place and your own apartment.
How awful! Your little sister is in trouble and doesn't have a place to stay in the city, and you're going to kick her out? Hey, what do you think about it, sir?
While my little sister and I were arguing, my husband was just standing there and listening to us. When she pointed her attention towards him and addressed him in a voice, she even slightly touched him as well.
That's a good question.
My husband then tried to cover up his smile with a cough, and he was desperately trying to put on a serious face. However, the moment that my sister's chest bumped up against his arm, I didn't miss that smile that came across his face.
If it's only for a little while, then why not? That should be fine, right, Melissa?
You and I purchased this apartment together, and we can split the loan in half as well. If you're going to insist, then there's not much I can say, because this is both of our space after all. What was I trying to get across to him? Was that I didn't want this, and for him to say no, but instead my husband ignored my signals and turned to my little sister.
Isn't that great? Well then, you can live here with us for a little while. Karen, was it?
I am just an inexperienced girl from a small town. Thanks for taking care of me.
My little sister smiled and bowed at my husband.
You're saying that like we're about to get married!
Oh, please, you're right.
Looks like my sister and my husband hit it off with each other straight away. However, I was overwhelmed with the uneasiness. I knew that my little sister had the personality of a small devil, and I knew that she hadn't changed. That day, I prepared dinner, and we all sat down to eat. My sister kept complaining to my husband, and even poured his alcohol.
Mr. John, you're still so young, but you're amazing. I can't believe you're able to buy a brand new apartment in the middle of the city like this.
It was nothing.
When I saw my husband blushing and grinning, I couldn't help but chime in. Actually, we're still paying off the loan for the apartment, and just so you know, I'm also paying for half of the loan.
Come on, Melissa. You seriously have no manners. Seems like you don't know what it means to be supportive to your husband. Isn't that right, Mr. John? I hope you don't think that all small-town girls are like my sister here, and that we all don't know how to treat a man.
Karen was batting her eyelashes at my husband, and his face was turning bright red as he nodded multiple times. After my little sister graduated from high school, she had been lazing around. She acted like she was helping at home when in reality she was unemployed and she would squeeze out any allowance from our parents and was even coming to me for help like this. My little sister was really good at seducing men, but she didn't know how to live life as an adult, and she had no intention of even trying to work. She was the worst type of human, truly.
Hey Karen, at least help us out with cleaning up.
On the weekend, I did all the laundry that had been piling up throughout the week, and I cleaned up around the apartment. On the other hand, my little sister didn't lift a finger, and instead of helping out with the chores, she just laid on the sofa eating potato chips and watching a Hollywood movie.
What? Come on! This is the best part of the movie!
Don't be stupid. Get up and help me clean.
But I don't wanna.
When my husband wasn't around, she would try to make herself look a bit more useful in front of him, but when he wasn't home, this is when she acted like. It was a scene that I was used to seeing back home. The days went by and my little sister had completely attached herself to my apartment, and her personal belongings were only increasing around the house. That was when I decided that I was going to kick my sister out. However, When we were sitting around the table for dinner that evening, I finally told my sister that she needed to leave. However, I received an opposing opinion, not from who I expected.
Don't you feel sorry for her? I found out that Karen doesn't even have any income right now. Don't you think it's going to be too difficult for her to find a place to live without any money? At the very least, you should be looking after her until she finds a job, especially as her big sister.
Don't be stupid. What's gotten into you, John? What's going on? Even though there are a few pathetic parts of my husband, I thought that he was generally well-mannered as a person. Surely you've noticed that Karen isn't even trying to look for a job, but she's just lazing around the house and mooching off of us.
You really don't get it, do you, Melissa?
My little sister then interrupted, as though she was going to explain the situation to me.
Mr. John wants some more excitement in his life. He wants a flower. Someone like me who's going to bring decoration and color to his life. A beautiful flower like me.
I couldn't understand what kind of nonsense this was, but then, when I looked over at my husband's face, he was nodding in agreement like she wasn't wrong.
Why don't you go and take a look at yourself in the mirror first, Melissa?
Compared to my little sister who was 10 years younger than me, and was wearing so much makeup every day, I couldn't help but agree that perhaps I wasn't the most feminine and floral as she was. But what am I supposed to do? In order to pay back the loan on this apartment, I have to work full-time at a company, and I also still manage to do all the chores around the house.
Oh, please, that's just a matter of hard work. A matter of hard work and your mindset.
My sister then laughed as if she was taunting me, and it was infuriating. What are you saying? You don't know anything. When I raised my voice, Karen dramatically screamed,
"Oh, you're so scary,"
and cowered and threw herself into John's arms. At that moment, I saw my husband's arms wrap around naturally around Karen's waist without hesitation. That moment was burned into my memory. And Karen as well didn't seem to be bothered one bit that my husband's hand was right around her butt. They're so close. Why are they so close? Way too close. I had a really bad feeling wash over me. I myself thought it was over the top to hire a detective agency, but within no time, I discovered that my husband and my little sister were having an affair. Once I was able to collect plenty of evidence that night, I confronted the two of them about the affair and shoved the evidence in their faces. At first, my husband was stunned and looked terrified, but as soon as my little sister went over to confront him, he seemed to get his energy back and tried to turn it on me.
This is my house! I'm allowed to decide who can live in it!
Is that so? If that's what you're going to say, I would be happy to leave this place. In regards to the divorce, you can talk to my lawyer about it, but I hope you're ready to pay a settlement fee.
Sure, do whatever you want. I don't care.
Ah, you're so hot, Mr. John. I love you.
After I screamed at my husband and pushed him away, Karen latched onto John in his arms.
With this, it looks like the apartment belongs to me now. And this time, my annoying big sister who's always in the way will finally be gone.
I heard my sister mutter out that loud enough for me to hear. John was just standing there blushing and grinning that my little sister was grabbing onto him. But he didn't seem to realize. And so I heard that John and my sister were able to enjoy their fun and carefree lifestyle for about 3 days before it all came crashing down. It seems that apartment is completely a disaster.
Hey, Melissa, come over and help to the apartment and clean it up.
Are you stupid? You need to clean up your own mess yourself.
Oh, come on, wait a minute.
My little sister was trying to beg me, but I didn't answer and I just hung up the phone on her. And then about half a month later, I got a phone call from my husband begging me.
Please, come on, Melissa! I don't have enough money to pay off the loan on the apartment. Will you please let me borrow some money just for the payment?
Why don't you just go ask for consumer finances?
No way!
I bet you got caught up with Karen and you've been spending money recklessly for her, haven't you? Despite having a bad spending habit, Karen won't spend any of her own money, so I can only imagine. I'm not going to lend you any money, and first of all, you're my ex-husband. You're a stranger to me now. It's none of my business. I left them for about half a year, but then one day, John and my little sister came all the way to my beautiful new apartment that I was living in to apologize to me.
I wasn't able to pay off the loan by myself in the end, so I had to let go of the apartment.
Is that so? Well, I was paying for half of the loan, and you no longer had me, so that's no surprise. I nonchalantly replied with logic, and my husband froze.
So, even though I sold the apartment, I'm still really far from being able to pay off the full loan.
So what?
Don't you think you're taking it too far by asking for a settlement fee from your ex-husband, who can't even pay off his loan?
That's right, that's right! I can't believe that you were trying to collect a settlement fee from your own sister.
When John finally got to see the real reason why they were here, Karen chimed in. Don't be stupid. The settlement fee is your own fault. You're my ex-husband and my little sister who had an affair. That's the problem. Now get out. I kicked them out and they stormed out of my apartment. After that, apparently they tried to ask their parents for help, but I heard that they were both denied. Of course they were, no matter how much my parents spoiled my little sister. They not only denied lending her any money, they didn't even let her into the house after she slept with her sister's husband and caused a divorce. I heard the two of them are living in a rundown apartment together now. My little sister is still living in the city like she dreamed of, but she certainly didn't have time or money to enjoy living in the city. When I happened to come across her the other day, I didn't see a shadow of my old sister, and she was working at a cash register of a cheap grocery store, and it made me laugh. For the record, I was actually pretty dressed up at the time, and I was in the middle of heading towards a date with the man that was going to become my new husband.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.